Way back in the year 1902, in the dusty and hot Badlands of Montana, a famous fossil hunter named Barnum Brown was digging through the hard rock when he stumbled upon the bones of a monster that was scarier and bigger than anything anyone had ever seen before. And he named this terrifying beast Tyrannosaurus Rex, which means the Tyrant Lizard King. But as scientists started to put the giant puzzle pieces of this skeleton together, they noticed something incredibly strange and confusing that has baffled experts for over 100 years. While this dinosaur was the size of a big yellow school bus and a head as huge as a bathtub filled with teeth that looked like sharp bananas, it had two tiny little arms that looked like they belonged to a totally different, much smaller animal. And this discovery started a massive debate because it just didn't make any sense that the most powerful hunter in history would have arms that were too short to even reach its own mouth or scratch its own nose. For decades, people laughed at the T-Rex's arms because they looked so weak and silly compared to its massive legs and powerful tail. And scientists argued constantly about what these little limbs were actually used for, with some early experts thinking that maybe the arms were just useless leftovers from evolution, kind of like how whales still have tiny hip bones buried deep inside their bodies that they don't use anymore. But then, paleontologists looked much closer at the fossilized bones and found something shocking, which was that the arm bones were thick and had huge spots where strong muscles attached, meaning that even though these arms were small, they were incredibly strong and could probably lift over 400 pounds, which is like lifting a grand piano with one hand. This discovery threw the useless theory out the window and led to new, exciting ideas, such as the possibility that the T-Rex used these strong little arms to help push its massive body off the ground after it had been sleeping or resting, sort of like doing a push-up to get back on its feet. Or perhaps they were used as vicious meat hooks to hold on to struggling prey while the dinosaur delivered a fatal bite with its crushing jaws. However, there is a very thrilling and somewhat scary new theory that might finally solve the mystery, and it suggests that the arms got smaller on purpose to keep the T-Rex safe from its own friends, because scientists now believe that T-Rexes might have hunted in packs or eaten together in groups, and when you have 3 or 4 giant monsters all fighting over a dead Triceratops, snapping their bone-crushing jaws in a feeding frenzy, having long arms reaching into the mess would be very dangerous, since a friend might accidentally bite your arm off in the chaos. So nature might have shrunk their arms over millions of years to keep them tucked away safely against their chest and out of the danger zone. We also have to remember that the T-Rex was built like a giant seesaw, and since its head was so heavy and packed with deadly muscles to power the strongest bite of any land animal ever, if it had big, heavy arms, it would have tipped over and fallen on its face. So the arms had to shrink to balance out the weight of that massive skull and the heavy tail, proving that every part of this incredible creature, even the tiny arms we make fun of, was perfectly designed to make it the ultimate ruler of the prehistoric world.